Namaste. I'm Bhavna, the founder of Learning Sutra Lifelong Learning. I'm an English language trainer and, of course, a storyteller. And you can call me Story Aunty. Do you like listening to stories? If so, welcome to my channel, Storyland by Learning Sutra, where you can learn English through stories. So what are you waiting for? Let's go to Storyland. Are you ready to listen to today's story? Find a cozy corner and settle down with a glass of water. Namaste, everyone. This is Story Aunty from Storyland once again. I was away for quite a while and I missed you. Did you miss me too? I'm sure you did. Did you watch our last story, Petros and his dog? And did you watch the accompanying life lessons on the topic of companion animals? If not, hop over to the YouTube channel right now and view the playlist, Life Lessons. For now, let's start our new story. So, are you ready to watch the new story? Let's begin. Here's our new story. The name of the story is Chuchu Manthu's Jar of Toffees. The author, Adithi Rao. And the illustrator, the person who's drawn the pictures, Krishna, Bala, Shenoi. So, let's start thinking about the story. On the next page, I'm going to show you a picture, the cover page of the story. Look at that picture and try to answer these questions. So let's read the questions before we see the picture. What is the story going to be about? What do you think happened just before this? How is the girl feeling? How do you know? How well do the people in the picture know each other? Why do you think the girl is looking at the jar of toffees? Count and name the colors used in this picture. And think about why the illustrator chose these colors. So let's look at the picture. Here's the picture. I'm going to read out the questions once more so that you can think about them. Question 1. What is the story going to be about? What do you think? Look at this picture and think. What do you think happened just before this picture was taken? How is the girl feeling? And how do you know? How well do the people in the picture know each other? Why do you think the girl is looking at the jar of toffees? Count and name the colors used in this picture. Why did the illustrator choose to use these colors? Pause the video here and think about these questions. When you're ready, you can come back and resume watching the video. Here are the questions once more if you want to have a look at them. Now let's start with the story. Let's meet the main character in the story. This little girl, her name is Preet. Preet. The word Preet refers to a beloved person, someone you love, a dear one, a kind one. It also stands for love, peace, and harmony. What does your name mean? Chuchu Manthu. Look! What is Chuchu Manthu? I'm sure you want to find out. We'll soon find out. Stay with us. Now, look at the paper on the table. What is that paper? It looks like a photograph or a drawing. Why do you think it is there? Think about this and pause the video if you wish to. Chuchu Manthu turns to where Preet is pointing. Preet quickly eats up the chips on his plate. He falls for this trick every time. Does this sound familiar? Do you play this trick on anyone? Do they fall for it too? Or do they pretend to fall for it? How do you know? Sometimes people pretend just to make you happy. Are you ready to find out what Chuchu Manthu means? Let's find out together. Chuchu is the pet name Preet has given him. And the word Manthu means big uncle in Konkani. Does Chuchu Manthu remind you of anyone you know? And did you know Konkani is an Indian or an Indo-Western language spoken mainly in Goa and southwestern parts of India? What language do you speak at home? Chuchu Manthu is the kindest person in Preet's world. He's also her best friend. Who's the kindest person in your world and why? What does your kindest person look like? What activities do you enjoy doing with them? Tell us about your kindest person in the comments. One day, Preet sees Chuchu Manthu scoop handfuls of toffees from a jar and drop them from his bedroom window. Why do you think he's doing this? What would you do if you saw Chuchu Manthu dropping the toffees? What question would you like to ask Chuchu Manthu? Preet watches in amazement as he ducks under the windowsill, chuckling to himself. Cries of delight float up from the street. So what do you think? Why is Chuchu Manthu chuckling? Why is he laughing to himself? Who is outside the window? What is happening? Let's find out. At the end of the lane is a school. When the lunch bell rings, Chuchu Manthu secretly drops toffees down to the school children as they pass under his window. Would you like to get some toffees like this? I would love that. Now let's look at the girl who's standing and looking up. She's wearing a headscarf called the hijab. In the place that you live in, what kind of headwear do people wear? Do people of different genders wear the same headwear or different kinds of headwear? Have you watched our story, Petros and his dog? In the story, Petros' mother wears a headscarf too. Do you know what it's called? Watch the story to find out. And tell me about the different kinds of headscarves or headwear that you wear in your country. After lunch, Chuchu Manthu walks back to his office. When he passes the children playing, he doesn't look at them. So, the children never guess that the hand that sends them toffees every day belongs to this thin, solemn man dressed in white. Look at Chuchu Manthu. Doesn't he look so solemn? So serious? He doesn't even have a smile on his face. So why do you think Chuchu Manthu does not look at the children? Do you think a solemn person like Chuchu Manthu can be kind? Why or why not? Do you know someone who's very solemn and serious all the time? Do you like that person? Before deciding whether you like that person or not, try finding out about them by asking an adult who knows them. Or maybe you could talk to that person a couple of times and then decide whether you like them. But one day, Chuchu Manthu has a dreadful pain in his stomach. As he's taken to the hospital, he presses Preet's hand one last time. Look at Preet in this picture. How do you think she's feeling? Look at the colors in the picture. How do these colors make you feel? What do you think will happen next? Now, Preet sits in Chuchu Manthu's empty room. His yoga mat is on the floor. She remembers that long ago day when she had walked in and found a pair of long pajama-clad legs wiggling in the air. So, look at the picture carefully. What do you think Preet is holding? What is she thinking? Whose legs had she seen wiggling in the air? Tell me in the comments. Help! Preet had yelled. Chuchu Manthu is ulta pulta. Amma and Mawe had rushed into the room and burst out laughing. He's not ulta pulta, Amma said. He's doing yoga, Mawe said. So, what does ulta pulta mean? Ulta pulta in Hindi language, which is an Indian language, means upside down. Upside down. That's ulta pulta in Hindi. Have you watched our story Croak? Do you remember who's ulta pulta in that story? Watch the story and find out. And did you know, in Konkani language, Amma means mother and Mawe means aunt. What do you call your mother and your aunt in your home language? Tell us in the comments below. Goga? Replied 3-year-old Preet, little Preet. She had watched with wondering eyes as Chuchu Manthu lifted his body on the palms of his hand like a bird about to fly away. Chuchu Manthu is doing an upside down or inverted yoga pose called Sarvangasana or shoulder stand. Do you know anyone who does yoga? Can you name any other yoga poses? Would you like to do yoga? Remember, do not try doing any yoga poses without the guidance of an adult or of a yoga teacher. Preet blinks. Nobody can fill the Chuchu Manthu-shaped hole in her heart. Where is Chuchu Manthu? Where is his kindness? Wonders Preet. Can you answer Preet's question? A hole in your heart refers to a feeling of sadness. So Preet is sad. Have you ever felt that there's a hole in your heart? What made you feel like that? Would you like to know what to do when you feel like that? Stay with us. And in the Read to Remember bit at the end of the story, we'll share some tips about how to manage this feeling. Preet looks under the yoga mat. She searches through his bedside drawers. She goes across to his cupboard and opens it. Where is Chuchu Manthu? Do you think Preet will find him? How do you know? How is Preet feeling now? Oops! A white shirt tumbles out onto Preet's head. Chuchu Manthu had 2 white shirts and 2 pairs of white pants. He had worn them turn by turn every day. The color white stands for purity and kindness, patience and peace. Which of these qualities does Chuchu Manthu have? How do you know? Now, there is only 1 white shirt and 1 pair of white pants left in the cupboard, neatly ironed. So what more does this tell you about Chuchu Manthu and his personality? And look carefully in the cupboard. What other things can you see in the cupboard? Do you see something familiar? Preet carefully folds the shirt and puts it back on the shelf. And that's when she finds it. Chuchu Manthu's jar of toffees. Preet's tears drop silently into it. So how do you think Preet is feeling now? What does the jar of toffees remind Preet of? Why is she crying? A bell rings in the distance. It is lunchtime at the school. Soon, the children will pass under Chuchu Manthu's window. But there's no one to give them toffees now. What would you do if you were in Preet's place? What would you say to Preet? What do you think Preet will do? Pause the video here and think about it. Yes, there is. There is someone to give them toffees. Preet jumps up. She scoops handfuls of toffees from the jar and drops them from the window. Would you do the same? Why or why not? Did you guess Preet would do this? How did you know? And how does Preet feel now? What do you think? Preet ducks under the windowsill. Just like Chuchu Manthu, she ducks under the windowsill, chuckling happily to herself. Cries of delight float up from the streets. So, who do you think is outside the window? And how do you know? So, finally, Preet has found Chuchu Manthu's kindness. She has found the jar of toffees. What does the jar of toffees stand for? The jar of toffees stands for Chuchu Manthu's kindness. So though Preet hasn't found Chuchu Manthu, she has found his kindness. Aren't we happy about this? Let's give her a big clap. So let's read to remember. It's okay to feel sad, confused, or angry when someone dies. Talking about your feelings with someone you trust can help you feel better. Remembering and talking about good times you shared with the person who died can bring comfort. Doing activities like drawing, writing, or making a memory box can help you express your feelings. It's important to take care of yourself by eating well, getting enough rest, and doing things you enjoy. Remember, everyone expresses grief differently, and that's perfectly okay. Remember, we all feel a hole in our heart when someone we love dies. I had a hole in my heart too. So I chose to share this story with you. And I feel much better after doing that. Before we end the story, let's pause to ponder. What did you learn from the story? What did you enjoy in the story? What did you find the most difficult about the story? What would you like to remember about the story? And how will you use what you have learned in the story? Tell me in the comments. So that brings us to the end of this story. Stay tuned for our next story and also look out for the new series of life lessons related to this story. You can check out the life lessons on my playlist on the YouTube channel. The name of the playlist is Life Lessons, where you'll see a variety of life lessons related to the different stories. So do check out my YouTube channel for the stories and for the playlist Life Lessons. Namaste, everyone. See you soon. Did you enjoy today's story? If you want to listen to more stories like this, subscribe now to my channel, Storyland by Learning Sutra, where you can learn English through stories. For now, bye from Story Auntie. See you again in Storyland.